Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day today to learn more about Cleantech, and more especially Cleantech Evo, and how we are revolutionizing automated hand washing. Before we talk about Cleantech Evo, let's talk about why we automate human hygiene. So when I look at it, and when we look at doing a manual hand wash at a sink, the first thing that always comes to mind for me is peace of mind. Can the sink provide you with peace of mind that everyone who walks up to it performs the perfect hand wash every single time? Peace of mind is something I find very important, especially when we talk about, one of our key areas that we focus on, which is food processing and food safety. Transmitting harmful pathogens into a plant that's preparing ready-to-eat food is extremely dangerous. So when I look back at that sink and I think about peace of mind, and I think about the 12 steps and the 20 seconds involved in the perfect hand wash, and relying on that person to follow those 12 steps every single time in order to remove 99.9% of harmful pathogens before they enter a food plant or before they perform their job, whatever industry that may be in, a sink just doesn't give me peace of mind. We see enough people walk up to a sink and do the old splash and dash. 2 seconds later, they're on their way. We know they didn't perform a perfect hygiene event. And that is where automated hygiene comes in. It's the perfect hand wash for everyone who puts their hands in. And it's as simple as you put your hands in the system, and when the water stops, you take your hands out. And 12 seconds later, you've removed 99.9% of harmful pathogens, standardizing the hand wash for everyone entering that facility. And I call it peace of mind. Peace of mind that everyone got the exact same hand wash, which is the perfect hand wash. And the other pitfalls when you think about manual hand washing is soap. How much soap do you need in order to get the perfect hand wash? Does it say on the bottle? You need to wave your hand under the sensor 3 times, 1 time, 2 times in order to get enough soap? How much is enough soap? What if I didn't get enough? Did I apply it correctly during those 12 steps in order to remove the pathogens during that manual hand wash? There's too many variables when it comes to that, and where hygiene is important. Every now and then we need to rely on automation. Remove the human from the equation, take human error out, automate, ensure pathogen removal, and ensure the perfect hand wash for everybody. That's peace of mind. The implications of a recall because of contaminated product, the risks are too high. Automation provides peace of mind. Peace of mind, reduce risks, and that's really the why. Why we do what we do here at Meritech, why we automate human hygiene, that's exactly why. So next I'm going to turn it over to Allison Smith, and she's going to talk about Cleantech and really give you information on the product.
Cleantech automated hand washing systems have been trusted by companies for over 35 years to protect the health and safety of their employees and consumers. Since 1986, we've been automating hygiene. We've taken what we know about human behavior and ineffective practices and simplified the hand washing process. As a result, organizations across a wide variety of industries have effective pathogen removal and gain peace of mind, all with minimal effort. Poor hand hygiene is one of the leading causes of the transmission of disease, and yet many of us do not follow all of the appropriate steps for an effective hand wash every time. In fact, most people don't wash their hands correctly most of the time. During times when there's staff turnover or production employees feel rushed, often this can lead to them not following practices consistently or correctly. This is where automation can help. Cleantech consistently removes more than 99.9% of dangerous pathogens from the hands every time. Plus, there's no cross-contamination from user to user or from touch points like the handles on a sink. To be certain that our Cleantech automated hand washing systems remove pathogens consistently, like E. coli, norovirus, and coronavirus, just to name a few, we've done extensive clinical studies with a third-party GLP laboratory to prove the efficacy of our technology. Cleantech Classic has been trusted by leaders in food safety for years. take a look at what our customers have said about working with Cleantech.
The Cleantech systems, they've been received really well by the employees. Typically, before them, we just had like one large sink basin, or you've had like these individual sink units where you've had to worry about, is it going to be hot enough, is it going to be cold enough, are they going to actually put soap on their hands before, after, what steps are they going to follow, are they actually going to wash their hands for 20 seconds, or is this, you stick your hands in and it does all the work for you, right? So the easier you make it, the more fun it is, your employees are going to follow that. So as long as you remember to dry your hands, you're done. So like that's been really great for us. Being able to do that faster, more efficiently, and in a lot easier fashion, especially for your employees, has been huge for us. Compliance-wise, Meritech has helped out tremendously, right? If you're in a GSFI audit scheme, one of the things they want to look for is your management commitment. Seeing the investment right when you walk in is huge. It's like going to a doctor's office and seeing if things are looking the right way. You have to have that appearance that it is the right way, and this is one way to do it, right? Things that make Meritech stand out, aside from just like the great line of products, is just, the customer service. Call, email, it doesn't matter. Like the response time is very fast.
And what we found in simple terms is the easier you make it, the more compliant they are. And that's one of the great things we like about the Meritech units. This is very easy. You walk up, you stand where you're supposed to stand, you put your hands in there, it does all the work, so you make sure you get the compliance and the effectiveness that you're looking for. So we've been doing business with Meritech for over 20 years and really has been a good partnership with Pecan Deluxe Candy Company. Certainly we focused on hand washing, but we've extended that, to footwear programs as well, just to make sure that we're addressing any biological risk that comes from people, right? Comes from their hands, comes from their footwear. And so combining all that together, we feel like we're taking a multi-tiered approach to prevent that risk from coming into our facility. So we've been really pleased with the systems, and one way to tell you we've been pleased with the systems, as we've grown, we've added more units, we've added more hand washing, we've added more boot washing systems. You can't look at food industry without thinking about food safety. You can't look at food safety without thinking about hand washing and without thinking about how are you addressing biological risk. So when you put it all together in a quality program that makes sense for your business, you have to consider all those factors, And so by using the Meritech system, we found that it's a really good tool in our tool belt.
Now we have the nice bank of machines, warm water, moisturizer. We tell them there's moisturizer in there. In the Northeast where we live here in Massachusetts, hands get cracked and dried. A lot of people actually have stopped using lotions or anything else because those systems actually work so well. So they had a big benefit to us. There's quite a few things that Meritech has improved. The units fit into the footprint of the facility very well. Second thing, it's an easy visual aid right there to know exactly what someone needs to do. It sounds simple, but we know our people are walking in every day with a clean set of hands, a clean set of feet in some of our locations. It's a very easy product to recommend because there's no issues with reliability. They're really rock-solid units, and I really think people get a benefit of just having something that easy to use. And I think that's why you're in all of our facilities. There's never been a challenge to say, is there another mousetrap out there versus Meritech? We just have incorporated good equipment, good reliability into our facilities, and Meritech's part of our family.
Now, let's take a look at the next evolution of hand hygiene, Cleantech Evo.
At Meritech, we are committed to our mission of redefining human hygiene to create a safer and healthier world. We do this by automating hygiene processes and therefore removing the variability of human behavior or the human error from the process. Evo is the result of a 2-year effort by our talented and dedicated team to develop the next evolution of our hand washing technology. Our goal with this new generation of systems is to increase the depth of our engagement with the user, improving on the experience, driving higher levels of hygiene compliance, and minimizing our environmental impact. We have maintained the exact method and efficacy of pathogen removal, but have added several features that make our offering more appealing, user-friendly, logistically efficient, and environmentally sustainable.
The Evo design was really just years and years of thinking of what can we do. Historically Meritech has been a little bit industrial. and it works for some markets, not always for others. And so when we looked at the design of Cleantech Evo, we wanted to look at all market segments, not only our core market, which is food manufacturing facilities, but we also wanted to look at some of those non-industrial locations, more commercial locations, or what we call away from home hand hygiene locations. That's super important. How could we also make the system engineered in a way that was super engaging? Again, back to that user interface. You know, when you talk about automated hand hygiene, you're really talking about changing a behavior. Well, that behavior is no different when it comes to the aesthetics, the look, the interface, and how that user does. And all that was taken into account in the way we positioned the design to where it was very ergonomic for lots and lots of users. We also wanted it to be feel tough and robust, and that's what helped carve out that design, as well as then give you those important things that you needed, a more sink-like feel so that the people feel it natural to use. All these are different aspects that were taken into account in the design of the aesthetics of the stations. So one of the things that we take really pride in is how we've designed the units and how they are actually going to be able to be made, as well as the environment that they're going to be used in. And that's super critical in designing this. You know, the metal on the outside of the units, which is on the Evo wall and the Evo 1, has sidewalls, back panels, internal components that are 304 stainless steel. The outside of the covers are actually made out of PC-ABS. Why did we choose that cover? When we're able to make them out of this PC-ABS, which is a really strong plastic, we made them 3 mil and 4 mil thick, so they're very robust. But we're able to design the system with these complex geometries to allow for better cleaning. Also better user engagement. As you can see in the front of this, there's this slope in the front of it. That's purposely intentional. We want that there so that it's more engaging to the user. They're able to get closer to the system, have that more sync feel. The cylinder area where the cylinders are is a little deeper than we had in our classic units. Why do we do that? We want to keep the station cleaner, allow for a larger drip off area for once the hands are washed that they can do that. We're able to create those complex geometries by combining these things. So mostly 304 stainless steel, PC-ABS, strong plastic, combining those two together to make a really good looking product that's hygienically designed. So the efficacy of the Evo stations is identical to what we've done with our classic Cleantech stations. What we've focused on is maintaining that efficacy. So what drives that efficacy? Obviously the science behind the chemistry that we've done, as well as then the science of the way we wash hands, of the rotating cylinders. We maintained that when we moved over from the classic units to the Evo station. We maintained that user interface of exactly how the cylinder and the 40 nozzles, 20 per hand, wash your hand. But what we did is really work on the chemistry, to take the existing chemistry, the science that we have behind that chemistry, and concentrate that chemical to where then we can go from consuming 5 mils per wash to consuming 1 mil per wash, so that we could reduce that quantity of product but still maintain that parts per million and maintain that efficacy and that removal of 99.9% of those pathogens. Again, all proven out and tested by a GLP FDA certified laboratory that's independent from Meritech. The Cleantech stations already got you a really good use and compliance with them, but we wanted to step up our game a little bit. And we did that by working on the user interface of the Evo station for it to be more engaging, for it to keep that person exactly there for the right amount of time to get that 99.9% clean. And that's really has to do with that user interface. We've maintained the same identical hand washing parameters that we've always had, but we've improved on that user interface to bring it into this century, to have it engaging, to guide you through those steps, as well as then other things that, like if you're just standing at the station, it'll actually show you several screens showing you and teaching you how to actually use the technology. So that's the part that we've been able to gain, and we're seeing an increase in compliance by that user engagement. Additionally, we've added things to keep track of compliance. Not only do we always, in all of our Cleantech stations, shown what is the number of hygiene events, but inside the station, we can also show you trending analysis. So you can see it by day, by week, by month, or your total year of the quantity of hygiene events that you're accomplishing with the new Evo stations. So the Cleantech stations have always had really good compliance, and lots of users are using them. But one of the things that we improved on was actually that user interface within the Evo stations. We wanted to keep that user more engaged, guiding them through the entire hygiene process more. And we've been able to do that with the touch screen that's on the screen. It counts down the amount of time that they're supposed to be there. It's very visible. It's very interactive. There's a water swirl that they can see that interacts with them directly. And so this way it keeps them engaged longer. And even if you're not using the station, you just walk up to it, it's actually interactive. You can sit there and see the steps that you're supposed to use and how to use the Evo station. So that helps with onboarding, as well as the station has onboarding training videos for new users to be. But the way we go about that and the way we look at addressing the human behavioral issue with wanting them to stay engaged, wanting them to make sure that they're using it for the proper length of time is super important to increase compliance. We've always had on all of our Cleantech stations a way of counting the number of hygiene events. But what we've done to improve that is not only do we still give you that counter of the total number of events, but built into the station are actually your historical hygiene events. You can look at it at a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to see how your team is complying in the overall hygiene compliance area. When we designed and looked at the design of Evo, of one of those things that how can we improve this? How can we make this a better experience for our customers? How can we make this a better experience for installation? And so that's when we decided to make the cartridge. And so what we did when we developed our chemistry, we took our existing formula that's been proven, shows the efficacy behind it, combined with the Cleantech station, and we concentrated that. And we concentrated that chemical to where we could reduce the quantity but still get the same net results, hence allowing us to shrink the size of the container, make that container proprietary to the Cleantech station specifically, because that's what the guarantee of that efficacy is. The guarantee of working and removing those pathogens from is that combined, the combination of those two things, of the chemistry and the equipment, and then being able to do that in a package that's more compact. So our cartridge now is 2 liters, much smaller than the 3.7 liter containers we had before, but gives you more hygiene events. Okay, it gives you 2,000 hygiene events per cartridge that are easily installed. They're about midway in the station, so you're not bending down to the floor to change out large 1 gallon or 2.5 gallon containers. So we wanted to make it more ergonomic for the installation. We wanted to make it smaller and more compact. Smaller means, you know, you go from something that weighs 8 pounds or 17 pounds, depending on the size of either 1 gallon or 2.5 gallon, down to something that weighs 4.9 pounds. That makes a huge difference when it comes to transportation, as well as then storage within the facility. So it makes it simpler, easier for the customer, and still guarantees that same efficacy. So when Meritech decided to make its own chemistry, which was back in the early 90s, we knew we had to basically put a line in the sand saying, hey, you're right, we can't just take everybody's different solutions and chemistry and put it directly within our Cleantech stations, because we knew we weren't going to be able to maintain the efficacy that we're so proud of. So we just developed our own. Why did we develop our own chemistry? Because we wanted to be able to basically design the perfect hand wash, to give somebody the right amount of the cleaning agents, the right amount of degreasers and surfactants and antimicrobials, combined with skin moisturizers to make sure that the hand is well protected, and as well as do it within our set time frame. So that's why Meritech decided to design its own chemistry. No different with the classic stations, no different than the Evo stations. We've spent that time looking at what that is. How does that work with not only just a hand hygiene event, but lots of hand hygiene events? How do we protect that skin without ruining that skin by overwashing that skin, or basically detrimental skin health is a huge concern of ours when it comes to designing the solutions that go in our stations. So we look at all those aspects, as well as then how is that going to be for repeated use? Wash after wash after wash. Are my hands still going to have the same integrity? Are they still going to maintain their healthiness so that you can maintain a clean hand? The Cleantech stations and the chemistry is all made here in our plant in Golden, Colorado, all United States made products. And we're really proud of that fact that we're making this product in the United States. We're supplying it to US companies as well as companies around the world who take pride in that it's a quality product made in the United States. That design and engineering was all done here in the United States, done by the Meritech staff members. So we really created a family of stations. So we have the 4 different Evo stations. We have the Evo counter, we have the Evo wall, the Evo 1, and the Evo 3. And those are really the 4 basic distinct models. But the nice thing about this family of units is they're all themed around each other, so that there's synergies between their looks and feels, even though they're not all identical. They each have a few different assets that they can bring forward. So when Meritech created the Evo line of systems, we really looked at kind of what we had before. You know, single station in counters, walls, floors, multi-use units, and we really wanted to look at that. And so we start out with like the smallest of those is our Evo in counter. The advantage of the Evo in-counter, it works both in that industrial space as well as that commercial space, more so probably in that commercial space. Fits in a countertop, they may have room for that. It fits in a lot of those public areas that you may have, that away from home hand hygiene that we talk about, but also maybe in such areas like a lab or a cafeteria or some type of food service arena. That's really important. The Evo in-counter also has a little bit smaller cylinder design that Meritech has had for years within its ELF series of equipment. So we've been able to repurpose that. But again, it's got the same benefits of that touch screen panel, that ergonomic design, that deeper base and entry area into the cylinders. Then you kind of get into the mainstay of Meritech products, which is the Evo wall and the Evo 1. So one of those obviously being a wall mount unit, the other being a floor. And that's really the big differential in regards to those. They use our larger industrial cylinder. You get a little deeper clean up to the mid forearm. And they have the same functionality across those. They all have that same ergonomic feel and so forth. Some people just may want a clean floor, nothing on it. Some feel as if, yeah, it's okay to have that on the floor. That's pretty common for our space. So that's what accommodates those needs. The Evo 1 obviously has the advantages of adding additional features to it, which are the turnstile that can be added to it, the footwear enhancements to that, which are really important for those environments that need that. So that's a lot of focus within that, again, that industrial area. The biggest changes we came to is when we looked at our Cleantech Evo 3. And the reason we took a long look at that is looking at our classic units, the Cleantech 4000S, and how it was used, how it was received in the environment, how people interacted with the station was super important. And when we looked at that is how could we improve engagement across all 3 bays? And the biggest advancement we made is then taking the stations from being flat to then giving them a little bit of an arch. Allow a little bit more shoulder room for the people so that we can allow them to better utilize the unit, not only the left bay, the center bay, and the right bay all the time. It allows for also more comfort and user engagement with the station. So the Cleantech Evo stations have very similar enhancements that we have in our classic stations. We have the boot dip system that's available on the Cleantech 1 and the Cleantech 3. We also have the Soul Clean option. That's our low moisture footwear option that's again available on the Cleantech 1 and Cleantech 3. Something new that we've added is we now have a self-clean enhancement that's available in our, not only our in-counter as well as in our Evo wall. Historically, those units haven't been able to do self-cleaning. Now there's the capability of these units to have the self-cleaning functionality in them. So the Cleantech 1, you can actually get with a turnstile. This way you can control traffic, you can create gating or funneling to make sure that people are accomplishing your goals. It's a really good stopgap to make sure that you're controlling your staff members 100% to make sure that you're meeting your compliance needs in your facility, or use it as a separation point. We've seen this done very often where you may have a very critical area and not so critical area, and you can use that technology to create that critical gap so that you're making sure that you're enforcing 100% that compliance. And the last enhancement I'll bring up is our air curtain option. Air curtain option, normally found on either the Evo wall, the Evo 1, or the Evo 3. It's a really fast, easy way to get the hands drip free in just a few seconds. It uses the facility's compressed dry air, connects directly to the system, and be able to remove those water droplets quickly and allow that staff member to transition from the Cleantech station to secondary drying. Yeah, we get that question a lot of, how do I decide what the best Cleantech system is? And it really does come down to something I talk about often, which is called the 3 Ps. For us to design in the right hygiene zone for you or assist you in the right hygiene zone, we have to understand the people, the place, and the products. And this is super important to understand. Once we understand this, we can then make that right recommendation, and we'll actually assist you. It's a value-added service from Meritech to help you design the right hygiene zone for your environment. Because once we understand those things, once we understand the people, how do they travel for your facility, what do they do, what are their hygiene needs, once you understand the type of products you deal with. Are you dealing with ready to eat? Are you dealing with raw? Are you dealing with a finished product or a further process? And then really kind of, what is the layout of your facility? What are your challenges? Is it a box? Is it a central hygiene zone? Do you have lots of entrance and exits? Do you have cross points where somebody may be entering from one area to another area? Once we understand those things, the experts at Meritech can really help assist you in designing out the right hygiene zone with the right equipment to fit your needs.
All right, we're excited to take some questions in the Q&A session. Remember, feel free to submit any question you have in the chat and we will address it. Before we get to the Q&A, I'd like to make a special announcement. We are looking to really extend our partnership and really looking for people to learn the difference and try the difference of automated hygiene. Therefore, we are having a contest that actually starts today called Upgrade Your Hygiene Zone with Evo. We will be giving away one Evo 1, which is the freestanding station that Paul just talked about on the webinar, with your choice of footwear, our boot dip or Soul Clean enhancements, or just the hand washer if that's what you're interested in. We will be sending all the information to enter this contest in an email, and we're excited to see people join. All the details of the contest will be in that email. And we'll start the Q&A.
Cool. So Paul, how do you guys know how effective Cleantech is?
One of the things that we worked on the most when developing the Evo stations is maintaining the hand wash parameters. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we wanted to make sure that we maintained the same way we wash, the same amount of water that we use, the same type of cylinder design and the effectiveness of it. And when we looked at moving from the classic to the Evo stations, and knowing that we were concentrating that product, we wanted to maintain the right parts per million for the hand wash. And so that's what we did. So when we concentrated that, we concentrated the solutions to where we could guarantee that we're still achieving that 200 to 300 parts per million for every single wash, both in the Classic as well as then the Evo line.
Will, do we have to use Meritech soap?
Great question. So we don't refer to it as soap. We refer to it as hygiene solution. And the hygiene solution we use during the hand wash is called Ultra Pure. And the question is, yes, you do. And there's three reasons why you have to use it. First, it protects the skin. It's safe for the skin. We've been doing this for over 30 years. The second point is efficacy. We have over 50 independent clinical studies that show the efficacy, and the efficacy is the Cleantech station with Ultra Pure hygiene solution. And last but not least, it protects the integrity of the equipment. The equipment was designed to work with Ultra Pure. The nozzles within the cylinders were designed to work with Ultra Pure. Using anything else would damage the equipment, very similar to putting sugar in the gas tank of your car.
Allison, do you guys have footwear options too?
Yes, we absolutely do. Great question. Footwear is an important component when considering overall hygiene zone and risk mitigation. So we do have two ways if someone's interested in controlling footwear sanitizing to integrate that directly onto the Cleantech hand washing systems. So we have two pans that are available. One is our wetted boot dip, which would be most suitable for a wet processing environment. And then we also have what we call our Soul Clean footwear enhancement, which is designed for low moisture or dry environments that are looking to sanitize footwear. Now, separate from those sanitizing enhancements, we also offer a full line of boot scrubbers that can also be very effective at addressing debris and debris removal on footwear of employees.
Paul, how durable is the plastic?
Well, when we started out the design work on Evo, we really looked at how are we going to design this product. Historically, again, as I mentioned, Meritech was very industrial looking, very square edges, very square lines. That's really challenging when making a hygienic design. And so we knew we had to go to plastics. And when we chose our plastics, we looked at things like PCABS, which is a very durable type, very hygienic plastic that can be used for the products. We can then mold this into complex geometries that allow us to keep for a more sanitary design. And when we designed it, we designed the shape as well as the thickness of the plastic to be very robust. In some places, it's up to 4 millimeters thick, so it can handle impacts and be robust and hold up to tough environments.
Will, how long do the systems last?
Yeah, so it really depends on the environment and how customers take care of the systems. I mean, we've had systems last 10, 15 years. But like at the beginning of this webinar, I talked about peace of mind when we were talking about a manual hand wash versus an automated hand wash. When you buy an Evo station, you get peace of mind for 36 months. For 36 months, everything's covered. Parts, labor, service, it's all included when you purchase an Evo. So 36 months, everything's covered.
Allison, my facility only has cold water. Will this still work?
Yeah, so that's a good question we get on occasion. So technically the system would still work, but really we recommend having hot water. And the primary reason for that is just overall comfortability of the wash. If you've ever washed your hands with ice cold water, it's not a pleasant experience. We want this perfect hand wash to just be as great as possible for the user. So having both incoming hot and cold water allows the system to then blend that to the optimum temperature so that you have a nice warm wash, users remain compliant, and that's what we recommend.
Will, are the specs different from the old Meritech systems?
That's a question we have been getting since we launched Evo. And majority of those questions are around the dimensions within the specs. So I'll address that. I'm assuming that's what this question's in regard to. So there have been some changes to the dimensions. The largest change has been with the Evo 3. I know when Paul just walked everybody through the design with the curvature on it, you know, the dimensions have changed on that one. But if you want to know for sure, just reach out to us, fill out a contact form on the website. We'll send you an updated spec sheet for Evo. It shows all the dimensions.
But the facility utilities are identical from
Absolutely.
Classic to Evo.
Paul, does it have to use power?
Yes, you do require electricity for this. It'll work on any world single phase power. So anything from 90 volts to 250 volts AC, and it'll just automatically convert that into DC voltage. And that's how the system runs.
Will, do we need a drain?
Yes, just like a sink, the Evo stations will need a drain.
Allison, does it tell you when to stop the hand wash, and does it tell you when to replace the solutions?
It sure does. So there is a display screen on the Evo systems. It shows you the solution level and what percent is remaining on the solution cartridges. And then it also walks you through the steps of the hand wash. It gives some nice hygiene tips. And while you're washing your hands, it will have a countdown timer going from 12 to 0. I'll go ahead and demonstrate. So I'd love to demonstrate over here on our Evo 1. So this system is shown with our integrated footwear sanitizing pan that I was mentioning, the Soul Clean, which again is designed for low moisture environments. The great thing about coupling footwear onto the system is, again, it's fully automated, and you're able to effectively address both hand and footwear hygiene in a single 12-second process. We like to call it 12 seconds to clean. So simply the user would step into the pan, step up to the system, and again, you see the display screen here that has the instructions for doing the hand wash. Here you can see the solution level remaining, the number of hygiene events, and it's very simple. You just put your hands in the cylinders, palms down and fingers spread. You just float them right in the middle of the cylinders. As soon as I put my hands in, it's going to start the 12-second wash. The display screen is going to count down from 12. It's going to show that I'm rinsing, then washing, then doing a final rinse. You just leave your hands in until the water stops. Flick your fingers a few times and then dry off with paper towels. So very simple, easy 12 seconds to the perfect hand wash.
Is there a cost savings with the Evo cartridges versus the 2.5 gallon ultra pure?
Yeah, so, you know, a cost savings, you know, really not looking at it as a cost savings. Really, when it comes down to it, it does save, you know, space with storage. You know, we're looking at, you know, this size cartridge that'll provide you with 2,000 hand washes versus what we use in the Classic station, this 2.5 gallon jug that would provide you with 1,750 hand washes. So you do get more hand washes from the cartridge, and much easier to store, much easier to replace. So there's a lot of benefits with using the cartridge.
And much lighter.
Absolutely.
In regards to the water supplies, does the product comply with backflow plumbing codes, or is it up to the end user to install backflow devices?
Oh, excellent question. So with the Evo stations, we've actually designed in several internal plumbing features that are really beneficial to keep current with current codes. One of those is we installed an ASSE 1070 thermomixing valve that is regulating the water temperature for the user, and that can again be set anywhere from 100 to 105, which is really the perfect hand wash temperature. We also integrated into it an ASSE 1024 backflow preventer built in directly into the Evo stations, into all the Evo stations, and that is independent. So if you get a 3-base system in Evo 3, you actually have 3 separate backflow preventers that are built in internally directly to the Evo station.
And that's all the questions we have for now.
All right, well, we appreciate everyone attending. If you do have any questions, feel free to fill out the contact us form on the website. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Be on the lookout for the email that'll give the details for the Evo 1 giveaway to upgrade your hygiene zone. That should be coming out shortly. We appreciate it and look forward to working with people that attended this, and contact us with any questions you may have.